Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Accidental Beauty. If you're new, welcome. My name is Laura. I'm a self-taught makeup enthusiast, and let's say about 85 to 90% of the products that I use on my channel are cruelty-free, and most of them are vegan. If they're not, I usually specify that somewhere. If that's your thing and you love bold, colorful looks, then I would love it if you could subscribe to my channel. Today, I'm doing a 3 looks 1 palette using the Juvia's Tribe palette. Looks something like this. Really, really pretty green and sort of earth toned palette. So if you want to see the looks that I do and how I do them, then please keep on watching. So I recorded this over the course of 3 days, but it wasn't like 3 consecutive days. So I think I did a little bit of background on day 1 when I started filming. So I'll just move into that and then we'll go into the tutorials. Today I am going to be trying out the Juvia's Tribe palette. I am so excited. I made another video which you can watch over here about how unfortunately it seems like the brand is discontinuing the palette, but I know a lot of people picked it up. So let's just move on to the eye look. So this is her. I'm so excited. This is absolutely beautiful. This first look is going to be a first impressions obviously, but I have tried Juvia's formula and I really do enjoy it. If you want to see, I did another video, also a 3 looks 1 palette using the Zulu palette, which you can watch over here. So let's just open this up. It's taped down. Actually, you know what? I have a pair of scissors. I can just cut the tape over here. So it's secured very well so that it won't open, and you can tell that this hasn't been used before. Okay, come on. These are just nail scissors that I'm using. Okay, there we go. Feels bigger. Oh, you know what? I think it's wrapped in bubble wrap. That's why. Yeah, the palette itself is wrapped in bubble wrap. Forgot about that. Yeah, I'm like, this feels like thicker than the other palette that I have from them, which was also a 9-pan, like same size. Okay, there we go. Oh my god. Okay. So it is wrapped very securely in bubble wrap. We don't need this anymore. Oh my god. Okay, so this is glossy cardstock, and then this is matte, whatever this is. And then we got some like gold foil over here, which I don't know if yeah, it's sort of showing up. It feels bigger than the Zulu palette. This is the Zulu palette. It's a little dirty, a little beat up. It's very well loved. And then this is the Tribe palette. Oh, maybe they're the same size. Yeah, I guess they're the same size. Maybe just the Tribe palette is newer, so it feels stiffer, whereas the Zulu is, as I said, very well loved in my collection. All right, let's open her up. Okay, so we have this little like plastic sheet to protect the shades. So these ones have names, the Zulu one doesn't, and actually the pan sizes look smaller, which is interesting if the palette is the same size. What do we think? These are the 2 of them next to each other. You know what? I think it's actually, they're the same pan sizes, maybe just because this area that's holding the shades in is so reflective. Maybe they look a little smaller. So it's pretty much like half matte and shimmer. You get 1 more matte shade, so there are 5 mattes and 4 shimmers. No mirror on here, but that's pretty standard with Juvia's palettes. Oh boy, I don't even know where to start. And now I have to like think of 3 looks that I'm going to do with this. Oh my god. I'm so excited about this lime green shade, this like kind of light yellowy green shade. It's funny, I'm looking at this and like I know this is a green. I've always thought of this as a green palette, and there are 2 like actual green shades. If you count this, I mean really there's like 1 green shade. There's like a greenish yellow, a greenish blue, like a turquoise, kind of bluey, I guess 2 greenish blues. Yeah, it's kind of a neutral palette actually. That's really interesting. As I'm looking at this, I'm going to just prime my eyes. I'm going to use the Too Faced Shadow Insurance. All right, so we are primed and I'm going to zoom in and we're just going to get started. Okay, hello. And since it is 3 looks 1 palette, I'm not going to dip into anything else, even though there are shades from other palettes that I'd love to use for this. So I think I'm just going to do a straight up green look. I'm going to start off by putting this shade, Ashanti, in my crease because I know that one's kind of like a greenish brown. So let's see the pigmentation on that and go from there. In case you're curious, I put all my brushes and tools and makeup products in the description box below, including what's on my face today. No pressure to use the products or brushes that I use. This is just what's in my collection and what seems to work for me. Okay, gotta cover up that redness from plucking my eyebrows just now. All right, let's just do maybe a basic smoky eye. What do we feel like? Although I kind of really want to do a halo eye, so we'll see. Oh my god, I never thought I would love a brown eyeshadow like this. It's a really cool color and it's looking really, really nice on my eyes. Okay, if I was just like putting any look together and I had this in my crease, I would probably add some of Aromo, the orange shade, just to kind of like warm things up even more. But I think I'm gonna skip that today just so I have more options for another look. Low key want to put Tootsie all over my, you know what? I think I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna put the shade Tootsie pretty much like all across my lid, leaving some space in the center so I can do a halo eye. Picked up product pretty decently. And that is a gorgeous shade of green. Okay, so it's a little sheer. I'm sure I can build this up. This is like a pretty true lime green. Like, I wouldn't say this is quite neon, but it's like almost like as close as you can get without it being a neon pigment, I feel like. I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 palettes that have successfully done neon looking shadow without it being like a loose pigment or something. I probably should have used a better base today. I feel like these aren't quite as like punch in the face pigmented as some of the shades in the Zulu palette, but these are softer and the Zulu palette is like a bright rainbow palette. But I mean, like, it's showing up really, really nicely. It's about as bright as I'm gonna get it. So now I'm gonna use some of my NYX glitter primer and I'm just gonna put that right in the center of my eye so that I can make my metallic shade really pop. Just use like the tiniest amount. Yeah, in general, when I apply these, I just use my fingers, but I do want to be a bit more precise. I think I'm gonna try using a brush first. I'm gonna use the shade Chaga. It looks a little bit like it's a duochrome. It sort of looks like a bronze with a green shift. So I'm really excited to try that one out. Let's see how it picks up on the brush. Okay, it did not. All right, I'm gonna just spray my brush with Fix Plus. It didn't seem to really pick up on my brush. Let's see, I might just end up using my fingers. Oh, okay, it worked. Oh, that is a cool color. Oh my. I'm impatient. I'm just gonna use my fingers. Oh my god, that is beautiful. I don't know if it really goes with this look, but oh, that is stunning. Like that shift. Ooh, I'm gonna use a little bit of that Tootsie shade, the green, and just kind of try and like blend those two together. It's really hard, I find, to blend shades that like aren't even in the same color family. So you know what? I'm gonna go back into Chaga. I just want it like a little less precise, a little more blended. Looks really cool. Is this the neatest job that I've done? No, but this is what it's looking like so far. I'm really liking this. Okay, let's move on. I rarely do this, but I'm gonna put a matte in my inner corner. So I'm gonna use the shade Masai, this one. I'm tempted to put a primer in my inner corner, but I don't want to smudge the rest of my makeup, so I will just take a risk with this one. This is just a little pencil brush that I like to use for inner corner highlights. Ooh, that's really cool. It's not neon, like it is obviously softer than like a true neon, but it kind of gives a bit of that effect. Oh my god, that is beautiful. Lower lash line time. I'm kind of feeling like I might put that green right along the lower lash line and then smudge it with a little bit of that brown. I'm gonna use like a very, very small, teeny tiny little lower lash line brush. And anything densely packed like this will allow you to stamp on color easily so that you'll get more pigmentation from it. And then on my small blending brush, I'm just going to take like the tiniest amount of the brown shade and then just kind of smudge out that. Trying to keep the green, but I feel like I'm just darkening it. that's pretty much the look. I'm just gonna put on lashes, liner, mascara, all that, and choose a lip color. Then I'll be back with my first impressions of this palette. All right, so I am back. Wow. This is the final look. As you can see, I paired this look with this fabulous green wig that I got off of AliExpress. I'll leave a link below, and once it's up, I will leave a link over here to the unboxing and review of this wig if you want to learn more about it. I also accessorize with this little faux septum ring from Amazon, and then all other makeup details will be listed below. I mean, I like, you know, really amped up the green in this look, but I'm so happy with the way that this look turned out, especially because I have green eyes, so I feel like everything is just bringing out the color of my eyes right now, which I am super here for. Oh, this is so pretty. Like, is this the most pigmented palette I've ever used? No, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm so happy with it. I feel like I probably could have gotten a little bit more intensity out of the colors if I used a different eyeshadow base, maybe even if I used concealer as my base, but I'm really, like, I'm not unhappy with that. I think the colors that I use performed beautifully. I only used 3 shades today because, again, I want to use more shades in the other looks that I do. So just like first impressions alone, I'm so happy with the way that this look turned out. It's actually a surprisingly neutral palette. Like, I definitely think that you could get away with wearing this, maybe not every single color, but you could definitely get away with wearing some of the colors in the palette that you wouldn't expect in a more conservative office setting, because while they are pigmented, they aren't as like vibrant and almost like neon as some of the shades in the Zulu palette. Really happy, especially the inner corner shade that I have on today. The shade Masai, just chef's kiss, beautiful. The shade Tootsie, which was the lime green that I have on my lids, not as vibrant as I was sort of hoping. I mean, I was expecting like this kind of vibrancy. So it's definitely not that. It is very pretty. The brown that I used in my crease, Ashanti, I surprisingly love this brown. Like, I normally don't get this excited about brown eyeshadow, but it is just so pretty. And it's like a neutral color with a twist, and like normally I hate neutral colors. Like, I don't hate them, like I do wear them, but I don't get excited about them. They're just kind of more functional than something to play with. But this I can work with, especially using it like in a look like this. I don't know, it just gives a really nice starting off point and really makes the other colors shine. So really happy with that. First impressions, I think I would give this palette 4.75 out of 5. I love Juvia's Place's formula. I love how easy the colors blend out. I just wanted like a little bit more vibrancy from basically the 2 green shades, Masai and Tootsie. I mean, you can definitely see them. It's not like they're not pigmented, like they definitely are. I just wanted like a little bit more neon, and what I might do next time is like mix in a little bit of like neon pigment or something just to like really make this look pop. But I am thrilled with the way that this look turned out. So these are my first impressions, and then I'm going to be doing 2 other looks, and then I will have my final thoughts at the end of the video. So let's move on to look number 2. Alright, so this is day 2 of me trying out the Juvia's Place Tribe palette. I'm so excited. I had a lot of fun doing the last look, and I played with it one more time off camera, but I only used the shades that I tried out last time because I really just want this to be a full first impressions review of every single shade. So what I'm thinking is, like, I'm kind of feeling a blue tone look, sort of using these 2 shades, maybe adding some of this green or this green yellowish color as accents. But then I'm also super into this red, and I'm trying to figure out how to make that work. You know what? I think I'm gonna go for the red today, and then I'll save the blue for the last look. First, I should prime my eyes. I'm back, my eyes are primed. Let's just zoom in and we can begin this look. Okay, hello. All right, so what I'm gonna do to start off is go into the shade Aromo, the orange shade. I'm just gonna stamp that into my crease. So I'll just take some on this kind of, I don't know what you call it, like a dense packing brush, I guess. This is the Morphe M321, but you can use whatever brush you desire. Okay, this might not have been the right choice of brush. Just gonna blend this out using a small tapered blending brush. This one is the M507 from Morphe. It's one of my favorite brushes of all time, but use whatever you feel like. Now let's take a larger blending brush. This one is from NYX. I'm gonna be kind of basic and just do a cut crease. Although my crease is already mostly cut, I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit. Put down a lot of concealer already. I think I'm just gonna use what's left on my makeup sponge and just kind of go over the areas where, you know, I got too much product on my lid. That looks all right. I'm gonna take some of my NYX glitter primer and I'm gonna use a flat packing brush. Just want to be very precise with where I put this down. I'm gonna go into the shade Curla, the red shade. It's the one shade that sort of feels like it doesn't fit in the palette, just because everything else is sort of, you either have like sort of the warm, earthier tones, and then you have kind of the cooler blue and green tones. The red just kind of doesn't quite fit, but I feel like it balances out the palette really, really nicely. I just sprayed my brush with some Fix Plus. I'll just let it dry for a minute. Let's pick some up. Oh, I did not expect that. It is a red, but it's like a very earthy red. Wow, I love that. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna just use my fingers. Oh, like, look at that color. It's closer to an orange than a red. It's almost like a pumpkin orange, like a foiled metallic pumpkin orange. I love that. This is actually perfect for fall. I don't have quite a shade like this in my collection, and I'm actually really glad that I went with the orange in the crease today, because this is turning into like a really nice monochromatic look. Oh wow. Oh my god, this is so intense. I love this. Oh my god. The contrast is just bringing out the green in my eyes, and I am here for it. I kind of want to like intensify the crease area. I'm going to dip into Ashanti. Just kind of like stamp that on like the outer corner of my crease. Got a little bit of the orange shade Aromo on there too. I just kind of want to deepen that outer area. Okay, now I'm going to go back into Aromo and just go over what's on my inner crease. Almost tempted to just leave it at that. I think I'm going to go into Masai again and stamp that on the inner corner. Oh, that is a really cool contrast. Oh yeah, such a pretty like neon kind of shade. I think I'm gonna stamp Ashanti on my lower lash line. I'm just gonna kind of like wing the corner up just so the top and bottom are connected. I'm gonna go back into Aromo, and I think I'm just gonna go over that wing just so the two colors are a little more blended. So I am going to finish off the rest of my eye look, and then I'll be back to show you the final look. All right, so this is the final look. I'm so happy with the way that this look turned out. The more I'm using this palette, the more I'm finding this is actually kind of like a neutral palette in disguise. I don't remember if I said that with the first look, but I'm definitely noticing that the more I play with it. It's like a bunch of bright, like, I don't know how they did it. It's a bunch of bright colors that are like deceptively neutral. I wouldn't necessarily say the look that I'm wearing today is, you know, super corporate office appropriate. That's kind of up to your own discretion, but I mean, it's just so, so pretty. I was sort of planning to do a bit more of like a bold look, and this is a bit less than that. These colors are just really reminding me of Halloween, and I am here for it. Even though it is August 19th, like, I don't want it to be fall, just because at least where I live, fall lasts like maybe a few weeks, like pure fall. I live in Canada, I live in Toronto, and it feels like we have like a pretty short summer. It's a decent length. Spring, like real spring, is probably like, I don't know, it feels like it's like 3 weeks, and then it's summer, and then fall feels like it's 3 weeks, and then we have like 6 months of winter. So I don't get to enjoy fall and like all the colors and that cute outfits and everything. I don't get to enjoy that for that long, but I do really enjoy the fall aesthetic. On the one hand, it's like I'm really loving this look because it's like, you know, sort of getting into that mindset, into that spirit, but at the same time, then it makes me sad because that means that winter is coming. Then, you know, it's just going to be cold and gray for like 6 months. But I really do enjoy the Halloween aesthetic, so I can enjoy it for that. I can enjoy the colors. It's just so pretty. Like this color on my lid, I love that sort of rusty reddish orange, those sorts of tones. Maybe it's just the texture and I guess the general color family, but Fireball from NYX just reminds me a lot of the shade, even though that one is a lot more red, but it's like an orangey red. I'm also really enjoying the contrast between that and my inner corner highlight shade. I don't normally do matte inner corner highlights. I just find they don't have the same punch and the same oomph factor as obviously a metallic or a duochrome or a multichrome, something like that. But this is actually really pretty. And I feel like the shade is light enough and pigmented enough that it still gives that like pop of color. It's the orange and the brown, Aromo and Ashanti. Those worked really nicely together. My crease gave some really nice dimension and smokiness. But oh my god, that lid shade is just the standout shade. Chef's kiss. Feeling very Kylie Jenner inspired. Might just be the wig. Maybe it's also the style that I did my makeup today. And like the overdrawn lips. I don't know what it is. Okay, this wig needs to be straightened and it needs a trim, I think. I want to maybe do like a very blunt bob, but I don't actually have my straightener on me. So once I do that, I will fix it. And we will move on to look number 3. I feel like I wear the same thing in all my videos, but I actually don't have a ton of clothes here, so I end up just kind of wearing the same thing. Let's begin. We're going to be using the last, I think, 3 shades that I haven't used from this palette, so it'll be Kuba, Sen, and Koro. And I'll see if I can work any other shades into this look as well, just to make it a little more dynamic and a little less monochrome. So let's just zoom in and we will start. Hello. Let's make this look fun and colorful. Actually, you know what? I need to prime my eyes first with the highlighting side of the NYX Wonder Stick. All right, now I'm gonna go into Tootsie just to build up some color in the crease and make it a little more interesting. I think I have a little bit of some other color on here because it looks a little muddy, but it's okay. This is just a starting point for me. And I'm gonna go into the shade San. This one I want to stamp right in my crease. Ooh, it's like a really nice grungy, murky kind of color. Ooh, that's looking really cool. I don't want to lose those green tones, so I think I'm gonna mix a little bit of Tootsie and Masai and just kind of blend the outer edges of that, just very softly, just to bring back some of those lighter tones. And now with whatever is left on my densely packed mini tapered blending brush, just gonna go over those darker tones, just kind of in the middle here. These colors are really blending out so nicely. It might be cool to have Masai on my lower lash line. I didn't prime that area. Hopefully it'll be fine. Just gonna stamp it on just to get like the maximum impact of that color. think that looks all right. It's really interesting. I think it'll look cool once I put on mascara. So now I'm gonna cut my crease. Oh, and I'm using the M224 brush from Morphe. Again, use whatever you feel comfortable with. I just recommend something with a flat edge like this. I used to use angled brushes, but I found you don't have as much control and you're more likely to mess up. This actually gives you a really precise edge. Time to dip into the shade Cuba. I'm gonna start off by spraying my brush. I'm just gonna use some Fix Plus, and this brush is the M124. This is such a rich color. For some reason, this color just reminds me of Kathleen Lights. I feel like it's the type of accent shade that she adds in a lot of her collab palettes. Oh my god, look at that color. Okay, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna use my finger. Oh, look at that pigment. Oh my god. There's such a pretty green shift in here. I expected this to actually be more blue. It's actually quite a bit more green. This concealer has started creasing really, really bad on me. It never used to. If you guys have dealt with this before, let me know in the comment section below. If you have any ideas, maybe I'm just getting old and my eyes are getting kind of wrinkly. Let's go back into San corner over here and just kind of smoke out, kind of making the shape more cohesive and just cleaning it up. Let's do an inner corner highlight. I'm gonna dip into the last shade that I haven't used, which is Coral. Yeah, this one needs Fix Plus. That's got a really pretty green shift. Oh my god, that's a cool color. I love that. I don't know if it's picking up on camera, but it is so pretty. All right, let's just smoke this out some more. It doesn't have the depth and dimension that I'm looking for. It needs something. I want to keep the look simple in that, like, I don't want to add too many colors. You know what? Maybe I'll add a little bit of Ashanti just in the outer corners to deepen them. Maybe that'll help. It's kind of making it a little murky, but I kind of don't mind because I really want it to be smoky. I'm gonna try something out. I said I wasn't gonna do this in the other videos, but just needs something. I'm gonna use one of my neon pigments. These are from EA Beauty. I'm gonna use the yellow pigment. This one's called Zesty Yellow. So it's just a loose pigment. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of my Maron mixing liquid. I've never done something like this before, but for really detailed work, I like to take a really teeny brush. This is the Morphe M250-0. This is probably like one of the smallest makeup brushes I've seen. Any smaller and then I think you start getting into nail art brushes. So I was really hoping there would be a dropper. It's just like you just pour it out this way. I think I'm gonna pour some of the mixing medium into something with like a nozzle or a cap or a stopper or something, because the way that it is now, it's really, really difficult to work with. But I think that turned out all right. I guess I'll just go over the lower lash line with Masai, just because I kind of lost that color in there. But it just adds a little something and it goes really nicely with that neon yellow pigment. Now I guess I'll finish off the rest of my face. All right, so this is the final look. I am thrilled with the way that this look turned out. I was expecting this look to be the grungiest and smokiest, but I was also expecting it to be kind of the most basic and the most simple, kind of like a monochrome look, just because of the way that I kind of mentally divided up this palette and sort of envisioned all of these looks. But you know what? I'm so thrilled with the way that this one turned out. This look might be my favorite. I feel like in part it was due to the neon yellow pigment from EA Beauty. That really tied it all together. I'm so glad. I was originally considering lime green, but I don't think it would have had quite the same effect as the yellow. It blends with the shade Masai so seamlessly. The way that the blues or like the sort of teals and the greens and the yellows mixed together, like it's so beautiful. It really reminds me a lot of the Natasha Denona gold palette, just looks that you can do from there. I've got another video, which I'll link over here. I basically went through my collection and tried to talk myself out of buying that palette. And I feel like with the addition of some of these other shades, I feel like it really rounds out my collection and sort of reminds me, maybe they're not exact dupes, but they're very similar to some shades from that palette. So really happy to have this. Okay, so let's just talk about the palette overall. Most of the shades are surprisingly neutral. I think I mentioned this in my first look, because when you look at this, I thought of this as a green palette, especially with the packaging, the way that these two shades, Tootsie and Masai, really stand out. Even Sand down here, which is kind of like a greenish blue. I just thought, okay, it's a green palette. And then when you look at it more closely, it's like, oh, there are actually sort of more neutral, earthier tones. So you got these two metallics over here, and then Kurta, which even though it's a red, I feel like it's kind of still like earth tone. Then you got this brown over here, and you've got this orange, which I would consider kind of a neutral as well. When you actually start playing with it, more of the undertones come out, and then you kind of see that it is kind of a green palette, but it's like it's a really balanced green palette. I wouldn't call this a monochrome palette. I just call it a predominantly green palette. Lots of shades have green undertones, and then the ones that don't complement green so beautifully. I'll just do some quick swatches just so you can see all of them like in the same context. This color scheme just gets me so excited. Like, I'm just looking at the swatches here for reference just to remind myself. It's a fairly neutral, fairly wearable palette. You could probably get away with wearing most of these shades to even the most conservative offices. I'm planning to do a video soon on how to make shades like those wearable for the office, so stay tuned for that. But honestly, most of these shades are pretty neutral. Obviously, you can make them more colorful, like the look that I have on today. This is actually a surprisingly versatile palette. I found that Tootsie and Masai are kind of light. They aren't super pigmented. Masai, of course, is a lighter color, so I didn't expect it to be, you know, like this kind of pigment. I feel like they need a stronger eyeshadow base in order to really show up, because as you can see on my arm, like they do show up, but I feel like they need like a primer or something just to really make them pop. But yeah, honestly, you can do so much. I think my favorite shade in the palette is Coral, surprisingly. I thought this was just kind of like a basic champagne, but it's really just like a light green. It's very deceptive. I guess it's kind of like a champagne base, but it's really a light green reflect, and it's just the most prettiest shade of green. It's probably my favorite eyeshadow shades that I've ever seen, just because it's pretty unique. There are a few companies that do similar shades, but it just gives such a pretty effect, especially as an inner corner highlight, brow bone highlight, that sort of thing. I'd even use this as a face highlight, although I am already wearing highlight, but if I wasn't, I would definitely use that as a highlight. Let's just talk about the shades one by one. So Masai, really pretty, very unique color. I haven't seen too many companies do shades quite like that. Really pretty. It's like pastel neon almost. Pigmentation, as I mentioned, I wish it could be a little bit stronger, so I'd probably give it a 4.5 out of 5. Oromo, this orange, again, like it's kind of lacking in pigment, and the orange that's in the Zulu palette I find is a lot more pigmented. It's a different shade, like there are different undertones in that orange, but still that one is pretty vibrant. It really packs a punch, and this one kind of needs a little more building up. But I sort of get the impression that this palette is almost like a half pastel, half sort of grungy palette. So maybe their intention wasn't to make it super pigmented, but I just really wish it was. So that one I give 4.5 out of 5. Like, you can build up the shades, it just kind of takes a little more work. Same thing goes for Tootsie. I really wish this was like a bright neon, not neon, but like a bright lime green. And that's really what I was looking for. That's what initially drew me to this palette, and I don't have any lime green shades in my collection. Actually, no, I've got one or two, but I don't have any with quite this kind of undertone, and I'm a little disappointed that there isn't more pigment, so I'd probably give it a 4.5 out of 5 as well. Coral, as I mentioned, favorite shade in the palette, hands down. The beautiful green undertones are just so dreamy and ethereal. Give it easily an 11 out of 5. Like, it's so pretty, and pigmentation is definitely there. Like, I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but in person it is so vibrant. Chaga, it's such a cool color. It's like a bronzy color with almost like a greeny yellow shift. Even though browns and bronzes and that color family you can tie into pretty much any look, like they'll go with everything, but the fact that it has that kind of yellow green shift just ties it together so much more. And also it's just a really pretty color. When you're wearing it, it kind of comes off more red tone than getting those sort of greeny yellow shifts, but it is still really pretty. So I'd probably give it a solid 5 out of 5. Cuba, it almost looks like a satin on the eyes. I don't know if that's because I mixed in Fix Plus. It's not super metallic or shimmery, which I really don't mind personally. It does have a little bit of like a gleam to it. Really pretty color, really flattering, and beautifully grungy. Normally I go for those shimmers, but I kind of like that it's a little different, so I give it also a solid 5 out of 5. Ashanti, it's almost a greenish brown. It's still a light brown, but it's got kind of like those yellowy, earthy undertones. So it's really interesting. It's a great transition shade. Pigmentation is definitely there. I'm really glad that they included a shade like this, because some of these, depending on what kind of look you do, sometimes there isn't quite the right transition color, and this just works perfectly. And yeah, I give it a solid 5 out of 5 as well. Curla, it almost shows up orange on the eyes, like it's a reddish orange with like sort of a yellowish reflect, but it's also kind of a little more satiny than maybe Chaga or Coro. This is a great color for like office appropriate looks that still have a little bit of color. Really pretty. And then the final shade, San. This is like a beautiful grungy teal. It's just so like murky, and I love it. And it blends out actually surprisingly really well. I find sometimes shades like these can get really muddy and really patchy really easily, but this one actually blended out so nicely with Tootsie and Masai. Just chef's kiss. Overall, my impressions of the palette, I have tried it about maybe 5 times now, and I'm really happy with these shades. Again, there are some that I wish were a bit more pigmented. Because I'm a bit more familiar with them now, I know to wear a stronger eyeshadow base if I am using certain shades. But overall, I'm just so thrilled. Like, it doesn't pack as much of a punch as the Zulu palette, but that one is like a bold, bright rainbow palette, and this one's a little more subdued. So I'm not too mad at that, and most of the shades are really pigmented, and they all just blend out like a dream. Like, this is really, even though the colors might seem a little intimidating, this is really a beginner-friendly palette. The only like issue I had was just sort of building up the intensity of some of these colors, but you know what? I can work with that because it's so pretty. It is a really unique addition to my collection, especially for shades like Masai, Koro, Tootsie, Cuba, San. Like, I mean, they're all really beautiful colors, so I'm so happy that I added this to my collection. Definitely recommend if you can pick it up. I think it's totally worth it. Easily a solid 5 out of 5 for this palette. I am so happy. Just such a beautiful, unique color scheme, and you don't see too many green palettes on the market. Now you're starting to see a little bit more, but you don't see too many quite like this. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section below which look is your favorite of the 3 that I did. If you like the type of looks that I do and want to see more, I would love it if you could follow me on my other social media accounts. I'm really trying to grow my online social media presence across all platforms that I'm on and start building relationships with brands. So the more interaction that I can have on my posts and the bigger my following, hopefully the more brands will notice me and want to work with me. So if you can, that would really help me out. Also, if you enjoy the content that I do here and you haven't already, I would love it if you could subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications, and that way you'll get updated every time I post a new video. Again, trying to build that community and build more engagement and interaction on my videos. That would just really help me out a lot, and I'll see you guys next time.